Assalamu alaikum and good evening to you all. Today we are going to start our poem. The first poem we are going to discuss in this class is The Eagle. This is the poem we are having in the syllabus for first term, grade 10. So we are going to discuss about the poem The Eagle. So we can write the heading as The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. So this is the poem we are going to discuss. The Eagle. The poem The Eagle is the shortest poem in our syllabus. Even though this is very short, we can identify more ideas in this poem. We can get deeper level idea about the nature and all. So we can't say this is a shortest poem and this is very easy, because even though it is seeming to a shortest poem, we have to understand more things about this poem. So before moving into the poem, we can get an identity, get an understandable about the poet. The poet is Alfred Lord Tennyson. So he was a Victorian poet and he was born in England. If you can remember the date of birth also, he was born on August 6th, 1809. So we can write those details about the poet point wise. We are going to discuss about the poet. About the poet. He is a Victorian poet and he was born in England. If you refer to the Victorian poet, the Victorian era should be known, because in England the Queen called Victoria ruled the country England. So when the Queen Victoria ruled the country, the poet Alfred Lord Tennyson started to write his poems. So that's why the poet is called as Victorian poet, because when the Queen Victoria ruled the country, he started to write poems. So he is a Victorian poet and he was born in England. Next, date of birth. August 6th, 1809. Okay. For his parents, he was the fourth children. So he was the fourth child. So he depicted an early talent for writing, because in the age of 12 he wrote 600-line epic poem. So we can imagine what a talent he had. So he's a very talented poet, we can say. He showed an early talent for writing, because he wrote 6,000-line epic poem. What is the age? In the age of 12. At the age of 12, he wrote 6,000-line epic poem. So we can say the poet Alfred Lord Tennyson showed an early talent for writing. So these kind of ideas can be enough to get and understand. So he showed an early talent for writing because he wrote 6,000 line epic poem at the age of 12. So he is a Victorian poet. He was born in England. Date of birth we can say August 6, 1889. He showed an early talent for writing. He wrote 6,000 line epic poem at the age of 12. Okay. He is the person who wrote the poem The Eagle. So you can ask a question that why we are going to study about the poet, because in the paper, the question paper, the part 2 will be the essay type questions. So we have to write 2 or 3 pages. We have to write big, but it should be consisted all the necessary things. But when we are going to start an essay type question, we have to mention about the poet as well. So after mention the details about the poet, only we can move into the poem or short story. So we have to have an important knowledge about the poet or writer. So that's why we are studying all the necessary details about the poet. So I have to say another important thing also. In the Victorian era, we discussed that Alfred Lord Tennyson is a Victorian poet, because when the Queen Victoria ruled England, he was started to write poems. So in Victorian era, the movement called Romanticism was very much popular among the poets. So most of the poets lived in Victorian era were using the movement Romanticism, because Romanticism means describing all the things about nature is called as Romanticism. But the particular poet we discuss, Alfred Lord Tennyson, is not kind of that poet. Even though he lived in Victorian era, he didn't tell anything about the nature. Romanticism means the poets were admired the nature. They appreciated the nature. But this kind of poet didn't appreciate the nature. Even though he talked about the nature in the poem the Eagle, he didn't appreciate the nature. So this is the most important thing to understand. So we have to know about the background of the Victorian era. In the Victorian era, a movement called Romanticism was popular among poets. So what is the main intention of those poets? What was the main intention of those poets? Because they wanted to appreciate the nature. They had to tell what you call. They had to tell the beautiful things about the nature. They had to beautify the nature. That was the main intention of those poets. So what that is called Romanticism. So what is the main intention of Romanticism? Appreciate the nature. But remember, our poet Alfred Tennyson didn't come under this category. He didn't use romanticism as a movement. He didn't use romanticism because he talked about the nature. There is no doubt about that. He talked about nature, but he didn't appreciate the nature. He considered nature as a destroyed thing. He thought that nature is a thing which destroys almost all the thing. So he didn't appreciate the nature. But he lived in Victorian era. In Victorian era, the movement called Romanticism, which means appreciating the nature. Tell all the thing about the tell all the beautiful things about the nature is called as Romanticism. The movement called Romanticism was very much popular among the poets who were lived in Victorian era. Our poet today we are going to discuss Alfred Tennyson is also a kind of that poet. He also lived in Victorian era, but he didn't use the mechanism romanticism. He didn't use the movement called romanticism because he didn't appreciate the nature. Even though he talked about nature, even though he converted some ideas about the nature, he didn't appreciate it. So at the end of the day, we can understand he considered nature as a destruction. So when we discuss about the poem, when we are going to read the poem, we can clear much more then. We can understand much more then. We are going to move into the poem. So this is the first stanza of the poem. We are going to discuss this poem as stanza by stanza. So mainly the poem consists two stanzas. So we are going to discuss about the first stanza. First of all, we have to read this very carefully. So we can try to read this. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. I will read it again. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. So, if you refer to the title of the poem, The Eagle, because it directly says that the poem is going to discuss about the bird called eagle. So, we can say the idea that the poem is all about the eagle. So, from that conclusion, we have to come with an argument. He claps. Who is referred as he? He is referred to eagle. We discussed about the poetic techniques in before videos. So, what is personification? We studied that, giving a human trace to an inhuman, 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 giving a object is called as personification. So I already mentioned the example also, this example, the eagle. The title suggests that the poem is going to discuss about a bird, eagle. So the bird is eagle. So we have to understand that the poem is all about the eagle. But the poem starts with he, the pronoun he. Why should it? He clasped the crag with crooked hands. So he refers to eagle. The poet Alfred Tennyson gives a human trait to eagle. So he refers to eagle. So the poet should start that with it, but he didn't use it. It claps the crag with crooked hands. He didn't tell that because he thought that eagle is some kind of bird which possesses power. So the eagle is a more powerful bird than the other birds. So he gave the human traits to eagle. That's why he started with the pronoun he. He clasps the crag with crooked hands. We can discuss all the poetic techniques used in the poem later in another video, but we have to understand this from the beginning. That's why I am telling. So clasp means, here we have a difficult word. Clasps. The meaning of clasp means tightly holds. Holds mean crooked hands. We can first of all we can write all the difficult words meaning crooked. So here the word crooked is a abnormal shape. Abnormal shape is the shape is something different. We can say unusual shape also. Instead of the word abnormal, we can say unusual shape. So crooked means unusual shape. The shape is not a thing liked by everyone. So this is kind of an unusual shape. Crag means, here crag is there. We have written the meaning for crooked. Crag means cliff. Crag means cliff. Cliff means top of the mountain. This shape of the shape of pyramid. So the top of the mountain is called as cliff. It is very sharp. Close the sun in lonely lands. Lonely mean lonely means the place without people. Lonely lands, the place without people. So we can easily tell that close to the sun in lonely lands. The place is there without people. There is nobody. So in that kind of situation, the eagle stands on the top of the mountain. We can discuss about that in later. Ringed with azure world. Azure world means it refers to the sky's color. So azure means the word azure, sky's color, which means it refers to sky. The sky's color is something different, which means the sky's color is deep blue. Deep blue means it can be the night sky. So deep blue sky. So it is very difficult to see. No, it is very beautiful to see the sky. Azure means deep blue sky. Okay, we have written all the difficult words meanings. He clasps the crag with crooked hands. He means, I already mentioned that he refers to eagle, because the poem thought that eagle is a kind of a powerful bird. So we have to provide some kind of human traits to that object, in human object. So he refers to eagle because already the title has suggests that the poem is going to be about the eagle. So it should be the eagle. The pronoun he refers to the eagle. So eagle clasps the crag with crooked hands. Clasps. The eagle tightly holds with his hands. Legs. It should come as leg, but he didn't use because he didn't tell that it's legs, because already he has provided the human race. So he has to convert the legs as hands. So hands refers to the eagle's legs. So he refers to eagle. Eagle claps. Eagle tightly holds the crag with crooked hands. Eagle's legs are very crooked, which means it is in the unusual shape. The legs of this eagle are not very much beautiful shape. The shape is very much unusual, which means this is not a beautiful shape. Crooked means unusual shape. He claps the crag with crooked hands. The eagle tightly holds the crag. What is crag? Cliff. On the top of the mountain, the eagle stands. So the top of the mountain is referred to crag here. So in the top of the mountain, the eagle stands with his crooked hands, which means the eagle's legs are very much shapeless. He claps the crag with crooked hands. Crag means cliff. Cliff means top of the mountain. An eagle is there on the top of the mountain. That is why the word crag says, he claps the eagle tightly hold the top of the mountain with its shapeless legs. I hope you will have understood the first line. Move to the second line. Close to the sun in lonely lands. Close to the sun in lonely lands. So here we have to identify a technique. Close to the sun. Even human can't close to the sun. Human can't go nearby the sun, because sun is a thing which destroys almost everything. So no one can go nearby the sun, but eagle can. That's why the poet says close to the sun in lonely lands. In the lands there are nobody, but the eagle is there. The only one eagle is there. The top of the mountain is very much high, highest mountain we can say. That's why the eagle is closer to the sun. Close to the sun in lonely lands. Lonely means the place without people. There are nobody. Only one eagle is there. So without no people, without anyone's help, only one eagle is closing to the sun. It is a hype wall because it is an impossible matter. We already discussed in the poetic techniques. The poet is going to exaggerate a thing, an incident. So no one can go nearby the sun, because we all know sun is a thing for destruction. It will destruct all the thing. So even human can't do that. Human is the very powerful creature in this world, but even human can't do that. But the simple bird, eagle, can do that. Already the poet have given the human trait to the eagle. So the eagle is going to close to the sun. Close to the sun means he means the eagle has that's lots of power to close to the sun. It is a kind of an exaggeration. In the poetic techniques we discussed about that as well. So in the next video we can discuss about the poetic techniques in this poem, used in this poem. So just remember the line refers to the poetic technique called hyperbole because it is an impossible matter. He exaggerated that thing because through this line, close to the sun in lonely lands, through this line, the poet tries to convert an idea about the eagle. What the eagle does, the eagle is going nearby the sun. So the eagle can do everything, almost everything, which can't be done by anyone. So the eagle has lots of power. That's why the poet tries to convert to us. Close to the sun in lonely lands. They are nobody. The place is without people. So we can identify lonely lands refers to the helpless of the eagle. Without anyone's help, the eagle can do this kind of a thing. So the eagle didn't get anyone's help. The eagle can do such thing without anyone's help. So the powerful creature in the world is human. So even human can't go nearby the sun. But without anyone's help, the eagle is going to close to the sun. So this is kind of an exaggeration. So we can say that technique as hyperbole, close to the sun in lonely lands. So throughout the poem, the power of eagle, we can say the power of eagle is depicted. So in order to close to the sun, the eagle has much power. That's why the poet tries to convert in this line. We can discuss about the second line as well. Move to the third line. Ringed with the azure world he stands. Azure means sky's color. In front of the sky, in the middle of the sky, there is a hot sun, but the blue sky, the deep blue sky is surrounded there. So azure means deep blue sky. So azure means it refers to sky's color. Ringed with the azure world he stands. So in the sky, in the middle of the sky, the hot sun is there. The sun is surrounded by the deep blue sky. Okay. So here the picture of the nature can be seen. Ringed with the azure. Ringed means circle, surrounded. The hot sun is surrounded by the deep blue sky. That's why it says ringed. Ringed with the azure world he stands. So finally we are going to conclude the meaning of these three lines, which means the first stanza. He clasped the crag with crooked hands. The title eagle already suggests that the poem is going to tell something about the eagle. So we can clearly understand he refers to eagle. Eagle tightly holds the top of the mountain with its shapeless legs. The eagle is on the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain is very, very sharp. Close to the sun in lonely lands. There are nobody. Without anyone's help, the eagle can close to the sun. Even human can't do that, but the eagle has that much of power. So the eagle tries to do that. So close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands. Azure means sky's color. So we already said that the eagle is going nearby the sun. So sun is there in the sky and sun is surrounded by the deep blue sky. So it is created a nature picture inside our mind. So the three lines are depicting the power of the eagle. The eagle can be the creature of nature. So any human didn't create eagle. It is a nature thing. It was created by the God. So we can say the eagle is a nature creature of nature. So the eagle means the nature. So we said that in Victorian era, Romanticism movement was very much popular among the poets. But the particular poet we discuss now is not belonging to that movement. Even though he talked about the nature, he didn't appreciate the nature. He didn't tell all the beautiful things of the nature, because the line close to the sun. We all know about the sun. Sun destroys almost everything nearby it. So the destruction of nature is seen here. So the poet is always trying to convert some kind of idea about the nature, which means nature is belonging to the destruction. Nature always creates some destruction to the people and almost all the creatures. So the eagle can be taken as a creature of nature. Creation of nature. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. Mostly the first stanza, which means first three lines show the power of the eagle, which means power of the nature. So power of the nature means eagle is a creation of nature. So it talks about nature. And we can see that the eagle is very much talented to do anything which can't be done by anyone. So even by human. So I hope you will have understood the first stanza as well. So in our next video we can discuss about the second stanza. Thank you for watching.